And we're live. So, Luca Nation,
And we're
welcome back to
live.
another episode of Lucas Tigers and Bronzo My. Friday episode, it's going to be a little bit shorter because I'm back in the States. Got to give a shout out, Cage. I had a really good time at Bleecker last night. And, I grew up in the family business where we had a cafe. So, I'm very sensitive to how people host, right? Because
Yep.
I've seen people do it right, I've seen people do it really wrong. And I got to tell you, man, I love the way Bleecker hosts because you go in the door, they have a beautiful lounge, but it's a welcoming vibe, right? And you felt that there's a lot of people there. John Starks was there, Chris Hodge and Christina were there, and a ton of our listeners, which is honestly kind of humbling and an incredible experience to think in just a year and change. We started a podcast. It was COVID. People were all at home, quarantine. We didn't know each other. All we knew was that like little Instagram handle
Yep.
with whatever profile picture people chose. And this is before NFTs and PFPs. So this was just like logos people made. And then you're like, oh, you're Slabs to Men. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're this. And you get to put a face to a name to an Instagram profile. And I just got to say thank you guys for all the kind words, all the support. So I was really looking forward to jumping on here today and doing this episode. My heart's full. I feel very grateful for what we get to do, and just wanted to take a minute and a half here and intro it that way.
Listen, it's cool, man. It's about the highs and the lows of life, the highs and lows of the hobby, the highs and lows of collecting, right? And we've had some real highs this week of getting some stories from some real collectors, right? Getting some
had
real.
what yesterday? You were
Yeah, I had
yeah,
some wine.
you-
I had some wine yesterday, actually.
you
Yeah,
had some
so it's
wine,
not my normal
cigars.
thing. I don't really imbibe. I'm not a drinker really at all, and I'm not. I don't do any type of drugs at all. So yeah, I had some wine and a little cigar and some pizza at Bleecker. So I was fine, but you know what I'm saying.
Pizza might be the best drug out of all of them.
The pizza was the best. It was good pizza. That pepperoni pizza, that the New York Square type pizza is a good time. So anyway, what I was saying was it's been a really impressive week for our guests, right? We're here as a conduit, right? But I mean, some of the collectors that we've had on, just amazing stories. And one of the constant refrains, it's funny, you say it and I get mad at you, and then our listeners say it and they support you, was how I was almost a little quiet this week in a bunch of our episodes. And, I apologize for that because I guess you guys are used to just me being acting a fool, shocked at a fool on the episodes. But I mean, some of the people we had on, they're first timers, some of them are repeat people, but we got some really great stories, some real great perspective on the hobby. And it's hard to kind of, leave a week like that and think anything but positive about the hobby. And then you get kind of like the cherry on top of the sundae of a night at Bleecker where you get to, meet folks, talk to folks, see trading going on, see people hanging out, just see, sort of like the Band-Aid being ripped off. COVID's still in the air, but everybody's kind of like hanging out and some sense of normalcy in a world that's still not normal. And yeah, man, I mean, talk about humbling. I'm walking out of Bleecker, of the front door, and I hear, "Hey, kid, you want to
I told
ride?"
you not to stop at the escort on the corner.
Yeah, I
said,
should,
walk
but
by. She's not worth it.
so I hear, "Cage, you want to ride?" And I'm like, "You don't live anywhere near me." He's like, not that close, but I'll give you a ride. And I got a ride home with a couple of our listeners. Thanks, Al. You're the best. He had a little construction. We were doing a little live video with Bleecker and stuff. I mean, we did. I mean that it's awesome stuff. I don't know if I'll ever do a good enough job of showing the gratitude that should be shown to everybody who's within an earshot of this. Anybody who can hear this, from the bottom of my heart, from Andrew as well. We thank you just for spending some time with us. The biggest comment that we got last night was, I can't believe how much you guys work, how much time you put in, and you guys do it every day. No one else puts out that kind of content. It's a little over a year. You got 500 episodes, and we tried to tell people this, and I think people don't believe us, but I'll say it again just for everybody listening. It's the best part of my day. It really is. I mean, it is a lot of fun. We get to talk about sports. We get to talk about cards. We get to interact with you guys. So it really is. It's a lot of fun, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And we've had some scamming in the hobby, some news about scams, and we've had some, some negativity and some negative comments, and you roller coaster, man. But it's nice to have, a nice high. It's nice to have, the listener numbers this week, guys. I haven't talked to you guys in a while, but they're as high as they've ever been. Literally, we're setting records, record numbers. So you're telling other people are tuning in. Maybe a little bit of that is basketball season starting. Maybe it's just people getting back into the hobby. I don't know what it is, but peaks and valleys, guys, and that's for me the topic that I want to get into today. I mean, you're the life coach, man, so maybe I can lead you to it and you can help me with it. But
I thought
from a collector standpoint, right? From a collector standpoint,
can I get a cage smile?
We hit dull patches, right? We hit rough patches. We hit like boring patches. I talked to Chris Hodge last night. And he's like, yeah, we're kind of like in a little stagnant, patch here. It's flat, I think was the word he used, which, is the perfect word because if you look at like the card ladder, last couple of months, it's exactly flat, right? I mean, it's not up, it's not down. There are certain pockets, certain cards that are kind of moving, but it's a little bit flat. And I'm going to jump right into it. My pick for today, my play is Chris Taylor of the Dodgers with 3 home runs yesterday.
My play today is Chris
Hodge. Here's why. It's not just he hit 3 home runs yesterday, right? So he has 2014. He's got his first Bowman auto, but also he's got a Topps update. I think it's number 180. So we go back to that 2014 Topps update set again, right? And they're available for single digits, like less than $10 for his card. And he's 31 years old, first time All-Star this year, lighting it up in the postseason. But he's my pick because he is the poster child for the up and downs of life and collecting. He had the walk-off home run in the one-game playoff with the Cardinals, where if he didn't do that, they might have been eliminated in the first game and not even made it past the Cardinals. Then you get into the championship series, and it was his base running error that caused them to lose the first game. He had a horrible base running blunder. I mean, you talk about going from the high of that walk-off home run to the depth of now you're the goat, the scapegoat instead of the real goat, right? You're the one that people are blaming for putting this team in a hole. And now 5 days after that, literally 5 days later, he is the first person ever in baseball history to hit 3 home runs for a team facing elimination in a playoff game. Right? He could have hit 4. He struck out in the 8th inning, but I mean, talk about being locked in against Atlanta's best pitcher. I don't know whether the Dodgers go on or not. If they do, it's a great play. Even if they don't, he's a free agent, right? So that a lot of people don't realize that. And he's obviously coming off of not just a great year. He was injured towards the end of the regular season, but his first All-Star appearance. He's never been a free agent before. The Dodgers were talking about trying to offer him an extension, but it never actually happened. They let Hernandez go last year. They should probably not let that happen to Taylor. So not only are you going to get buzz about him now during the postseason, who knows how much longer that lasts. If it continues to last, great. But if not, he's going to be one of those guys like we talked about yesterday with Correa, who's going to be talked about in the offseason and now a hot commodity because of what he's doing here in the postseason. But I like him because character guy we talk about how there's that little extra. But I like it because of the little story here. Because here we are talking about the ups and the downs. And, one of the guys I work for in my day job always says things are never as good as you think they are when the going is good, and never as bad as you think they are when the going is bad. And when you're in one of those, bad patches, it's hard to imagine it getting better. When you're in one of those great runs, it's hard to imagine it getting bad. But it always does, every time. When you're in one of those downturns, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And when you are in that high, you should be preparing for when that high stops, because it's going to. It never stays at peak. And it's a cool little segue, and I'll shut up and let you talk about this, because this is right up your alley, man. Because
I am loving this.
For collecting, right? I mean, we have to be mindful of that, right? Because when the going was good for all of us, the going was really good. And it was hard to envision a time where it would stop being good. And people who didn't envision that, they maybe have a bad taste in their mouth now. They came in when it was high, perhaps, and now, it's a little bit lower and the grind is a little bit more. But if you're in that boat, as we're kind of like in that bottom here, realize that it will turn. It's not going to stay down here forever, just like it didn't stay up here forever. And that applies to the NFT winter bubbles that people are talking about in crypto. It also to be fair, I believe it also applies to Bitcoin prices and Ethereum prices too. They'll hit a top, and things just don't go straight up all the time. I'm not calling the top now, but point being, guys, Chris Taylor's a great analogy for life, for collecting, for everything we're doing here. Don't get too high, don't get too low. Football teams, Patrick Mahomes, whoever it is, they're not as bad as they look on their worst days, and they're usually not as good as they look on their best. So, got any thoughts?
Wow.
Any thoughts?
I want to run through a wall for you, Cage.
No, I mean, listen, it was great. We got to chat with a lot of people last night, and I mean, I want to talk about number one Westbrook collector in a second as well, and people like him as well. But I don't want to change the topic.
Hilarious. I gotta tell you, Zach.
Love him.
His name.
Yeah, Zach. And I mean, somebody who's been collecting the whole time, like a perfect example of the collector series almost. Somebody who's just been collecting, and just got yesterday and pulled it out of his case. Russell Westbrook, green 1/1 Kaboom. And everybody's coming up to him. How much? What do you want for it? What do you want for it? And he's like, I don't really want to sell it. He got a box of stuff. Not even his best stuff. It's like, I don't want to sell it. I enjoy this. He had some Kobe's. And he didn't know what he was doing to poor Andrew. But he was these Kobe's. And, hey, how much is this? And he's like, you want me to just tell you how much I paid for it? And it's like, it's like rubbing salt on the wounds kind of. But, I mean, it's nice to see that. It's nice to see the action that was going on, trading and whatnot last night, the community, how everybody's happy. People are leaving cards out on the table. There's not even a thought of anybody taking them.
That's what I was saying. That's my takeaway, because we say, like, the hobby ebbs and flows, and it does. But we're just talking about the prices, because I'm sure there have been times in history where we've hit, like, record prices. But if we could measure, like, the collective joy, it might have been low. And I think even though prices have been stagnant, I think people are having fun, man. I think people like each other. I think there's been a lot of friendships that have been made. I think that we're genuinely looking forward to, like, oh, he's coming. I get to catch up with Shy Wei. I get to catch up with Binder from whatnot. The StarStock guys, man, dude, the StarStock team is fun. That as simple as that. Like, support the business. You don't support the business. You have cards at the vault. You don't. At the end of the day, I've said this before. Behind every business is people. Right? As people have taken a chance on the hobby, they may have had traditional careers, and they're like, man, I don't want to do that. I want to do sports. I want to talk about sports cards. I want to break. I want to be with my boys, right? I mean, like, I haven't interacted with them, but like backyard breaks, those guys that rip with no shirt on, they pull them. I mean, say what you want about them. They're having fun, right? They're having fun.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. And when you're caught up in your bubble of, like, cards are going up or down and you're just solely in that, you could ride these emotional roller coasters. But when you are able to add, okay, I want to make money, no question, but you could also have fun. You could also get out. You could go to events. You could go to a card show and meet people. What's funny? All that negativity goes away, because what you learn, I've done this for 1.5 years on the podcast we've done. Internet is not real. Social media is not real. Nobody is sitting there bickering and arguing over scams and all that stuff. There's much more discourse. There's dialogue, right? You're able to understand, oh, you thought of it this way and I thought of it this way. So we actually see things the same way. We just communicated it differently, right? There's much more alignment. So, Cage, I did not expect that. Like, I kind of want to hit end and go play like a pickup basketball game, because I'm jazzed.
No, I mean, listen, it's nice to see, right? And you get that in person, and I think as the world opens up a little bit more, you get that in person. And even, what's cool about Bleecker is the environment, right? Like, I didn't walk out of the Hofstra show with that kind of feeling, because everybody's there with a different hat on. Everybody's there, like, deal making. They're walking around with their cards. They're trying to, they're trying to sell their stuff. They're trying to buy stuff, looking for bargains. Everybody's trying to, like, hustle. And it's less of a hangout. And sure, it's a trade night, and people are making trades and people are making deals and stuff, but it's more of an exchange of ideas, right? It's more of just like okay, what are you up to? What are you doing? Like, what do you think of this? And hey, did he really sell that card for this much? Hey, what do you think about these? Do you think that's real? Or so I like that. I think that's real healthy for the hobby. I think there's probably room for that. And look, we ask our guys a lot. Hey, if you were the CEO of the hobby, right? You like to ask that question to our people. If you were the CEO of the hobby, what would you do? What would you do to change, right? I would say that if you're running a show or any type of a hobby get together, there should be a room set aside for people to just hang out.
Like a lounge.
Just a little lounge, just a little like talk to one another kind of thing. You know, I think GTS had one at the National. Just kind of get in there. You want to open some packs. But, you know, take your business hat off for a second and just, you know, let's talk. Like, you know, what got you into collecting? You know, what's keeping you in collecting? What are you hesitant about? What are you nervous about? What are you favorable? You know, I mean, those are the things that build up a community, right? The hobby doesn't have one singular Discord where we can all jump in, right? And yeah, we're on Instagram, but, you know, we have almost 7,000 followers. Ryan, Card Collector, has 50,000, and whoever else has however. I mean, there's no like centralized kind of thing. I like the hangout of Bleecker last night because it was almost like, hey, we're all here and we're all happy to be members of this hobby community. And the coolest little, you know, let's call it gold star for Bleecker is I'm sure they paid John Stark something for showing up and you know, making an appearance and, you know, signing some stuff. I didn't get an autograph, but I've met John Starks a bunch of times. I know he's a big cigar smoker, and he smoked one of your birthday presents last night. I hope you gave him a little. Hope you took some credit for that.
I tried to, but I then instantly regretted. I'm like, what am I doing right now? Why am I making him feel bad about smoking? I was so excited. I couldn't contain myself.
But, you know, he finished the business part of the evening, you know, where they had him off in a room where he was meeting people and he was, you know, signing autographs. And you can see that part of the evening's done. And he walks out of the room, and many people would look out and survey the landscape of what was going on in the outdoor patio of Bleecker. If it were a different place, look at it and say, okay, I'm going to make a U-turn now, and I'm going to get in my car, and I'm going to go home. I've done what I promised that I was going to do for the money that I was promised. But instead, he surveyed the landscape, saw people hanging out, saw people having a good time, saw sports on the TV, saw drinks, cigars, pizza, and he sat down. And he hung out at a table right in the middle of all of the other hobby folks just talking cards and, you know, and cutting it up and talking sports and watching, you know, the Hawks dismantle the Mavericks.
Thank you. Finally, 16 and a half minutes in, he cues me in to talk about basketball. So I'm going to do a rapid fire because we got to go.
Sure.
Guys, believe it or not, for me, making money on cards is great. But I'll tell you, and I called Cage today and I said this, I want to be right. And I want to be right for you guys. I really do. Like the plays I make, but more importantly, like what I talk about in the substance around the plays is what's interesting to me, because I don't want to steer you guys wrong. I want to nudge you in the direction that I'm seeing things and then let you guys go and, you know, make your own decision. So three of those things. And it's been a great start to the NBA year. If you guys listen to my NBA preview, let's start right here. Steph Curry. I said it from that season preview. He's showing you now. There's guys that deceive you by their smile, by their kindness, by their warmth, and you don't think that they're a killer, right? Like you see Michael Jordan, and he would go into locker rooms before the game and be like, you better strap on your boots. It's going to be a long night. Okay. Straight up alpha killer. No question. But then you see Curry, right? He's laughing. He's having fun. He's like taking half-court shots. Then he runs into the locker room. So there's this perception that he's not an assassin. But Cage, that dude is a straight killer, man. He pulls up.
Indeed, he is.
He pulls up from the logo down one with a minute left after Paul George says, hey, let me see something. The point is we're all different types of competitors. So I'll tell you, man, I'm doubling down on this. I do believe Curry's going to be MVP this year. I think the Warriors are going to get to the finals. I love this team. I love watching this team play. Next, I said last year that Bubble Hero was going to be huge. Then I said going into the following season on the shortened off season. So Bubble Hero predicted him. Then I said when he's going to be the starting point guard, he's going to have a lot of growing pains. That's not his role. He's not a traditional point guard, and he's going to struggle. Again, in the season preview, I said that now that he's reverting back to his role, now that Kyle Lowry's there, he's going to be the sixth man, the role that he's most comfortable with, where he goes against the second unit, and all he's asked to do is score. And what did we see? 27.6 rebounds, 5 assists. And you could tell that Heat had that game circled versus the Bucks. They were pissed. And that team dismantled the Bucks. I wouldn't overreact on the Bucks, but I'll tell you, I have cards on alt like this. A few of my heroes were scooped up by it now before I even had a chance to change the listings. But
there goes your hero.
There goes your hero. I will tell you there's more meat on the bone with Hero because he's a stock that was at a high. His Prism PSA 10 was $350, maybe even a little bit higher. At its low cage, it got to 70. But you know this investing in stocks. Once it's tested that high, there's an opportunity that it's going to creep back up. And it's only his Prism base is only at like 70, 80, $100 right now.
I'm gonna have to check if Ian still has his optic hollow. He refused to sell it on the low.
So my Hero is not my play though, guys. All I said was bubble Hero. I predicted that. I said when he's going to move to the starting lineup and be a traditional point guard, he's going to struggle because that's not what he does. I compared it to bringing up a prospect and ask them to change their swing. You can't do that at this stage. It's very difficult. But I also think this year in a 6-man role, back to what he does, he's going to have a great season. Lastly, and I got called out for this surprisingly, somebody on our YouTube channel said, Cage, love your play yesterday with Correa. A little bit of a lazy play by Andrew on Trae Young. And I was surprised because they left the comment this morning after the Hawks dismantled the Mavs like I said they would. So that was surprising. But, guys, I would be incredibly nervous if I was holding Luka cards this year. This is a show called Luka Nation. Luka is probably my top 3 favorite players in the league. My issue is the James Harden effect. There was a period in time when Harden took the Rockets to the Western Conference Finals. He was the MVP. He was averaging damn near triple-double. He was Luka, frankly, before Luka. Was he not?
Yeah.
Hold the ball for 20 seconds, run the entire offense.
Yep, everything through him.
People don't understand the toll that takes on your body. And add to that, I'm not going to say that Luka's in great shape. I don't know if he's in bad shape. He's not cut up like LeBron, so it's hard to know. But I would be worried about Luka. I would. And I'll get into my play, which has nothing to do with basketball. But I'm glad that the season preview, which we recorded, I believe it was on Tuesday.
I'm not going to let you jump off basketball yet because you were excited to be right. And, we talk about, leading a fish to water, leading a horse to water. We talk about that, right? And how, how we give you the tools. I'm not going to let you stop there because,
Yeah, Jordan.
You
know about that, by the way. It's like leading a fish to water. He let me hear that.
Oh, well,
Jordan, it's a good thing we don't have that New Year's Zoom recording.
Here we go. You love Cam Reddish, and he actually led the Hawks in scoring. No, but forget about that for a second. I have to say this. There is one play you're forgetting about, and I'm shocked you didn't lead with this because people can say Steph. It's not a stretch to talk about how Steph is going to be a great player this year. It's not a stretch to say that Trae is going to be awesome. Maybe a little bit of stretch to say that his cards will catch up to Luka, but if you watch yesterday's game, perfect. You were right about Herro. That's also not a stretch because Herro is showing that he can do it. The thing that I was most impressed about that you gave as a play, right? And I've never heard anybody give this play but you. And you talked about him when we talked about our most improved player potential as a second-year player and how it's going to fill the role that's right now void and how the team needs somebody to step up because of the drama that's going on. Tyrese Maxey balled out, man. And that's your guy. You've been talking about how he's going to be an offensive player to add to his defensive prowess and how he's going to fill the stat sheet. He almost had a 20-point triple-double. He had like 21, 8, 7, something like that. He had a really, really good game, like an efficient game. And I don't hear anybody else talking about him. I hear everybody talking about LaMelo and Edwards and all these other guys. But you, the one who said, Tyrese Maxey, he's going to play a role this year that's going to give him a lot of minutes and a lot of chances to show up. And so far, so good. So I'm surprised you didn't take a bow on that one. That's the one that I think is the most impressive.
My prediction, so that's a great call. Sixers-Nets tonight, which is kind of a big game. I have the Sixers winning this game, man. I think the Sixers are going to be a better team than people realize. I think the Simmons saga is overhyped in this sense. Basketball isn't football or baseball in that team chemistry matters a lot less than it seems. Here's why. In football, you have to get all these crazy pieces and variables moving in the same direction, and team culture matters a tremendous amount. Basketball does as well, but not early in the season where it's basically talent and mismatch, talent and rotations. What people, and is not going to be priced in yet, is how much better Maxey fits into this rotation than Simmons. They need a scoring point guard. On a different team, he wouldn't work. Like if you put Maxey on the Nuggets, where the Nuggets have a ton of ball handling scorers like Barton and Monte Morris and Michael Porter Jr., he wouldn't fit there. That's not his system. He wouldn't fit on the Warriors. But in a system where you have Embiid, who's so freaking dominant, and you need a point guard who can shoot the ball and run pick and rolls with him, it's unstoppable. And it's going to be a problem. This Nets team will have no answers.
You mean Nick Claxton is not going to stop Embiid?
No, I don't. And I don't think Patty Mills is going to be able to stop Maxey either because, I appreciate the shot. I really like Maxey, man. And people say he's
you've been all over him. And I mean, come on, talk about a guy to root for in the hobby. Didn't he open cards with Ken Golden's son?
Paul,
you know what I mean? Like, let's go,
Paul.
Right? So another guy to root for.
I'm excited for Maxey, and now I'm going to get into my play. This is a guy that I think he's going to have a Vlad Guerrero type of year next year.
Right.
Yeah, let me rephrase. I'm going to say Tatis because Vlad Guerrero lost a lot of weight in that card attention. This guy is a star in the making, man. He's got it. He's got that it factor. He plays in Tampa Bay. He had a shortened season. He had some ups and downs, and it's Wander Franco.
Oh, dude, he's going to be a beast.
He
already was.
He's good, right?
What do you get on base like 41 straight games or some crazy streak for rookie record or something like that? I mean, amazing talent.
Where, by the way, Lamim, I love what you've been doing with your posts. Fat Zion and BGS, two of my favorite things to make fun of. Fat Zion, and did you see the meme where he was like, BGS, when am I getting my cards back? That's the funny thing.
Never. So Lamim also makes reels. You got to look a little further for him because they don't pop up like his memes do. But he had a pretty funny meme reel where it was like, I'm just buying what my friends tell me to buy, basically. Like, joke on the hobby, like, hey, if somebody tells me to buy, I'm buying it. It was like a dog riding the back of a chicken across the street. Like, why did the chicken cross the road? And it had a dog on it. It was really funny. Yeah, you got to check it. You got to look for his reels also.
To do with the hobby, but if meme puts a stamp on it.
What do you mean it has to do with the hobby? If I tell you, hey, Andrew, you know what? I really like this. I really like this Tyler Herro guy, and you go out and buy all the Tyler Herros without doing any of your research at all. You just hop it on.
My is all tied up in this project. I'm really excited about. They just released the art. It's called My Little Orphan.
Nice.
It's going to the moon.
It will eventually, with a stop in the trash first. Moon eventually. It'll go.
It's this card. Where are we at here? Sorry.
Yeah, Wander. Yep.
So I'm worried about the BGS 9.5, but when it comes to Bowman Chrome prospects, I don't think it matters. I don't think autos matter as much with now obviously you want to have like the PSA 1010. That's like the standard of echelon, and with the Brady contenders, that's the cream of the crop. But a card like this, I truthfully don't think it matters as much if this is a PSA 10 or a BGS 9.5 in its potential, right? Like a PSA 10 might be 3,000, a BGS 9.5 might be 1,500. But I think they move in really similar patterns because of like the Bowman auto. And it's a $1,500 card, a little bit more expensive, but it's his Bowman prospects, which is the go-to, right?
What year?
2019 Bowman.
Okay, so guys, just a fun little tidbit on this and why I like to play even more, right? It's Wander's going to be an interesting story. Everybody knew he was coming up for a long time. Everybody knew he was going to come up, and everybody knew he was going to stay up, and he was never going to go back down because he's one of those potential generational talents, right? Chris Taylor, the play I gave you, 2014, is his first Bowman auto and his first Topps card in Topps Update, right? Wander is always going to be one of those guys that has a story attached to his cards, and I think it's going to make that Bowman Chrome auto, that first one, worth even more, and here's why. So last year,
PSA 10 for reference is $2,750. And what I love to see, and I'll let you go right after this, is I love to see that upswing and then the correction. That to me looks like an end of season sell-off. That looks like when you get eliminated, it's a sell-off. And you guys know this. Off-season buying starts way earlier than we think. Baseball spring training will be right around the corner. And this is one of the guys I'll talk about. So I apologize, Cage.
No, go for, I mean, listen, you're 100% right. And I mean, I was picking his stuff up at the National, if you remember. But I sold it because I'm an idiot when he was called up. But here's the fun part, right?
People don't realize you sell things because the podcast has been good to us. Sponsors have been good to us. we talk about this, and like sometimes you want to leave. Like I think you sold one of your Bowman, some of your box set to a kid, and you gave him a great deal. I think it was like a $300 card. You gave it to 200. We've had a good year, and you want to give back. Like you want to leave meat on the bone. So I don't think you feel bad about that at all. I think
and I sold it really cheap, probably less than what I paid for it. But so what's funny about it is, if you guys remember last year with COVID, the Topps update set, it was an interesting thing. What was Topps going to do? And I think I'm going to call out Topps a little bit here and say that they're kind of they're playing a little fast and loose, and they're trying to mess with people's money a little bit. Maybe it'll work, because maybe it'll work out. PSA will open up. Maybe Topps is being smart. But last year's update, so we're talking about the COVID, let's call it 2020 update. If you remember, Wander was in it, but he wasn't in it as a rookie. And Joe Adell was in it, but he wasn't in it as a rookie, right? And people were surprised because Adell was up and played for quite some time, right? And instead, what they did was they made that prospect set that looked like the throwback to 1990 Topps, I think it was, where it had like the little like first draft pick, whatever it was. And Wander has a Topps card in the update. It's got like a pink and black back to it. You can find it if you like. And it was a cool card, but it's not his Topps rookie card. It is his first Topps card in a Topps set, Topps something, but it doesn't have the RC shield like it would if they were Topps. Adell was a little weirder because Wander didn't actually come up and play. Adell did. So people were saying, oh, Adell will have a card, but they didn't give it to him. And instead, they held Joe Adell over for Series 1, if you remember. So 2021, Joe Adell's rookie was in there, right? So Update came out for Topps this year. And Wander, we played a lot. He played definitely enough to qualify to be in Update. And yet Topps didn't put Wander in their Update this year. Didn't put anybody really in it. It's kind of a weird move by them, but he's not in it, and they're holding him most likely for their top.
And they're playing fast and loose with people's money because people buy these packs hoping that there's something in it. And
ahead of time with the checkers, but people pre-order them and that kind of stuff. But what I'm saying fast and loose is Topps Series 1 is made in significantly more quantities than anything else. Like there's a lot of that, which is why the Update is usually a cooler card for prior years because there's less of it made for folks. So it becomes a better, card to go after because, there's less of, although now they print, millions of everything. So it doesn't really matter. But you've seen this. And Topps has kind of staggered those rookies. They did it with Yordan Alvarez. Remember the year before?
By the way, he's a monster.
He's a beast, right? That guy was, they held him over till 2019 Topps Series 1. And his rookie had the cup in it because he was already Rookie of the Year like the year before. One Rookie of the Year, and his Topps rookie card didn't come out to this. So why am I going through all this rigmarole for Wander right now? Because he most likely will have a Topps rookie card in Series 1. He has a Topps card in Update last year, but it's like a Topps prospect card. So to me, he will have played a year and a half for his rookie. You know what I mean? Like he will have played all this time. The Bowman Chrome from 19 will most likely be significantly more sought after than the Topps rookie from 2022. You know what I mean? And people are like, wow, he's got a rookie card, but he played so much already, So, I mean, it didn't hold back the Yordan Alvarez card so much. But, that the whole like prospect card plus holding him over till next year, it's an interesting thing. And I think it actually works in favor of the card you're giving as a play. A lot of times people like the Topps, people like the Bowman First Auto. I think this might swing the more desired card towards that Bowman First Auto because of the fact that the Topps card is going to come out after he's already played for quite some time.
And you have a pop of 154 on the PSA 10 and on the BGS 9.5, 404, 600 buyers. It's nothing for a guy of this stature. A little bit higher price point, a little higher entry point, but this guy's the real deal. He's built to mash. He's 20 years old.
Yeah, he had a power stroke for a young kid. I wasn't expecting that.
And who's better at grooming and creating talent and nurturing talent than Tampa? You keep seeing they make right move after right move after right move. And I mean, would you be surprised if again Tampa was a 100-win team next year with Randy Arozarena and Wander and all that lineup and smart pitching? So that's my play. Hopefully not as lazy as Trae Young because everyone knows Trae Young, maybe it's lazy, but that's it. This is a great episode, Cage. I like this. I love.
Well, you're
Oh,
a little life coach, man. But every once in a while, I gotta tell you, I wake up happy, and if the hobby's gonna let me wake up happy, I gotta give the hobby credit, man. You know what I
every
mean? Like,
once in a while, I wake up happy.
yeah, it doesn't happen all the time. Most of the time, I wake up cranky. The bones hurt. I'm 45. I made some bad move the night before. Some trade didn't work out the way it should have. Something, but I'm happy today. That was good pepperoni pizza. Thank you, Bleeker.
That's right.
No, seriously, thanks for the hospitality. Thanks to everybody who came up and chatted with us last night. Some great stories, just great stuff. I mean, it's really cool to hear everybody's kind of hobby story and talk with folks about how they found us, how long they've been listening, and to hear folks message. And guys, I will never get enough messages. Please message us. Right now, if you look at my Instagram, everything is responded to. So
That was the best part, Cage, when people come up and they're like, "Oh yeah, I messaged you a year ago." I was like, "Oh, well, what account?" I'm like, "Did I answer?" They're like, "Yep."
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, I love it. So I heard stories that said, how I found you? You were on StarStock talking about this, this, and this. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like the whole, I love hearing, because a bunch of people say this, that we're like must listen to podcasts, like must see TV, like you're every day on the commute to work, or I drive a truck, and it's like, you're the ones I'll listen to, when I work out, and I go for a run. Like, that's really cool that there are that many people out there who wake up and are happy that you and I didn't flake out the night before and continue to do an episode every day. That's a cool feeling. It was nice. So thank you guys. Thanks for listening. We really do appreciate it.
Love you guys. Bye, Luca Nation.